Hi everyone, this is Tanya, the Lady Strange. This is going to be a bloggy video pertaining to my life, my circumstances, etc. An update. Now, if you're not into this type of thing, then turn it off. To each their own. And if you do watch this or do follow that, as I do follow others' journeys and life experiences, as they inspire me to share mine and to move through the day-to-day, yes, so it's greatly appreciated to have you here. And you know that there's others like myself that are going through this life, which is ever changing and challenging, but doing the best that we can and inspiring each other, sharing our art, our stories, our experiences, our wisdom, our gnosis, and being interconnected spiritually and energetically, and in a way more in tune and strange and alternative, in a very positive way, that is. I may or may not keep this video up, but for now I'm putting it up here. In my weekly reading, I just uploaded, literally, to YouTube, a rather long and rambly, but today is the new moon and a partial solar eclipse and the equinox. So, big thing, big rambles, big spirit channels, and all of the above. And that's how Tanya rolls. Sometimes she's more often than not, I'm very silent, but often I do am known to ramble, especially on YouTube. Hey, it is what it is. So, my channel, my blog, my experience, just as others are, and respectfully so. So, this video is going to be a bit much on it. Some of it's going to be kind of heavy, as I've been moving a lot. If you watch any of my more recent videos, you'll hear mentions or even notice things like my issues with reading certain cards from certain decks. Now, the main problem does lie with myself, but it is also some of the creation, so it's a conjunctive type of thing, as I say. Especially with, I love the deck, the Void Tarot, but it could have been bigger. The images are scrunched in and small, and for someone that ends up finding out, this past week, meaning the previous week that we just moved through, basically I did do, as you watch this and you read my bio or any of these, you know I'm a practitioner of the left-hand path. So I did a spell, which is still halfway into effect. We'll see how that comes to be. Ultimately, it's up to me to take accountability and make the efforts, which I have, and I'm trying to process and move through. So what basically it was is, since I have a eyesight issue that's been slowly and gradually showing up, and that I did not take the right steps sooner, and I should have, but it is what it is, and kind of correcting myself, hindsight is 2020, but here I am. So I went to the doctor's last week to have a specialist, to have a follow-up appointment for my eyesight. I knew I was nearsighted, and I went and got glasses for that, which I'm still trying to adjust to, but they're only for the nearsighted portion. I knew there was more. End of 2024, in October, so almost a month from, just a little over a month from now, I got in my first car accident. Poor judgment, but also slight, something didn't seem right. My car got fixed. Fine. I was okay. Other person was okay. Cars can be fixed. It was not totaled. But it made for a very, really fucking hard Halloween, and I didn't get to celebrate the way I would or wanted to. I didn't feel that, and I was having a big question of faith. I am, after all, a human. We all question things in our faith day to day, no matter what our spiritual path may be or what our life experience is. So I had that. And then I moved through it, got my car back, and moved through it. And not long after that, I noticed for a bit now, not currently, but even previous to that, it was gradual. So it's not like, you wake up and you're like, oh, something's, this. No, but I thought first there was a tune more to anxiety with my driving and stuff. But I've been driving for 20-something years, so it's that. But again, anxiety comes in all shapes and forms. And a lot of us have driving anxiety. So, again, reality. But I noticed that driving at night and in the dark was becoming a larger and larger problem. Did I fully acknowledge what it would be expressed to others? No. Is that on me? Yes. Could I have done something sooner? Yes. But not to change actually what's happening or what I found out. So, again, I could have done something. Would have it changed everything? Certain things, of course. Would have it prevented certain things? Of course. But since that second accident, I have not driven in about 10 months because, first of all, it was winter when it happened. It was December. So it was a long winter here in central New York State, and it was cold and bad. My husband started having certain health flare-ups. He was bringing me, two of my good friends were bringing me and supporting me to and from work. Work accommodated me to a little bit of an extent. So now to bring me to present on there, I did, of course, was saving up to get a car, but something kept telling me, get your eyes looked at. And as did the people around me. So I did. And that's where first I got the glasses, and they said, you have a retina issue. You need to go to a specialist. So that brings me to last week and up to now. So I went through extensive testing with a specialist, a big center that is in the area. And like I said, I did spell to get clarity, to give me a bit more of that chariot energy and courage to help aid me, plus using my own personal will, but looking at it from a perspective versus just my perceptions, and taking those wills with faith and strength, and helping that magic certainly does to help bring in and to bring in the best possible outcome and get the answers, clarity, and tools I needed. Well, after extensive testing, if any of you have been through that, then you know, yeah, there is a major fucking problem. Maybe some of you have encountered this or know someone. Basically the doctors did not give me any real helpful explanation, or explain my condition fairly. Maybe I should have, like my reading said, asked different questions, but it seems like they were very dismissive. And when you're going through something and doing your best to face it, yeah. So, basically, with that being said, I really only came up with some general answers to my circumstance, but come to find out, I have a hereditary condition, and there's nothing that can be done for it. It's degenerative, and it will continue to happen. It will not get any better, should I say, and it could get progressively worse, and potentially someday lead to blindness. Meaning, I have, it's called, I'm going to stumble like I usually do with words, geographic atrophy, which means my central vision and my macular part of my eyesight, which helps with your photoreceptors and all that, yeah, is messed up. I'm going to take a sip of my tea here, my black currant tea, but look at my lovely cup. It kind of makes me smile. But, yeah, so they didn't explain it. They just said, oh, it's linked to hereditary and also with your hearing loss. You watch my previous videos, I have hearing aids as I'm almost deaf, on top of the fact of being diabetic. So, several impairments. Each day is a struggle in some shape or form, but I'm still here and I'm still standing. I process. Well, I was already obviously scared and anxious, and so when the main doctor didn't really explain much, and I don't know what the secondary one was there and stuff, and said something, you'll come back in 6 to 12 months, we're just going to monitor it, but honestly we don't know 100% what causes it, etc. Oh, you can go to a Central Association of the Blind if you choose to do so. Okay, which I may choose that avenue for many reasons. Why not utilize your resources? And I think those resources can help me with the next point I'm going to bring. The seeming lack of empathy and answers when you really need something that's going to affect your whole life, in your present, in your future, and you admit to the fact is that it's not a good idea for you to drive, because not only are you going to hurt yourself, you're going to potentially hurt others or destroy things or get in another accident. This has nothing to do with anxiety. It's due with the fact is of the recognition I have been having and analyzing of my condition prior to going to the doctors. It's realistic, and it's honestly for my safety and well-being, but that of the others, and I was trying to help those that have been helping me. It's all conjunctive, of course. It's just I'm very angry because I didn't get any answers or explanation, and he said legal I can still drive, according to New York State. So I'm very angry that I didn't get what I had, what I was kind of hoping. Expectations, yeah. Expectations. We often know that. I'm not the only one going through this experiences and struggles. I realize that. I have a lot of great and abundance in my life. I do realize that. So much more love and support than I realize. But I don't know what my future's going to hold. Neither do any of us. But still, it's an impairment. And I begged for something to say, that would help me so I can work from home so I don't have to beg for rides and all this other stuff, and get help and make it easier for those in my life that help me, which I'm blessed to have them, and to make it easier for myself and my well-being. The doctor said pretty much no. I broke down and cried and vulnerable in bed, and the only thing he would give me was a note saying I have an impairment. Yeah, okay. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but I still put in a claim to try to work from home so that my well-being can be taken care of in safety. But for context is, if you happen to notice, don't wait like I do. And if you happen to notice that things are not quite right with your eyesight, or especially driving in the dark, or yet you're extremely extra sensitive than normal to light, like sunlight or any other type of light, you get headaches or your eyes are heavy when you're someone that loves to read books and literature and obtain wisdom and knowledge through various forms of fiction, non-fiction, and magic and the occult and other subjects. But it seems more than just what it was, then potentially you may be going through something similar to I am. Now, being hurt and scared and fear and anxiety is a killer, as is fear. And I kind of shut down in certain ways. I still am. I am regrouping here, so I know this is going to be long because we're already 12 minutes into it. But yeah, let me take another sip of my tea. I kind of have to get that off my chest. I've had people that have already talked to me, listened to me, and give me guiding, kinding words and great advice. And not the fact that it hasn't even been a week. Other people, I've already started my own research on it, and will continue to, because this is the lesson is, where others may fall short, I can do my best not to fall short for myself, especially being a left-hand practitioner and following that philosophy in my life. I think that's going to be one of my path and my pathwork and my philosophies going to be a great strength besides those that love and support me and the tools I have and those things that I have, the spirits and deities and guides that I have. I'm still standing. Those accidents could have been worse, so that's a blessing. I do realize that. There is background noise. There always is when I'm filming out here, but I'm trying to enjoy my patio when I can without getting mosquitoes and before winter comes. So, with that being said, there was that. So there's enough of that. I'm just not happy with certain things. And there's other people in my life, excluding the ones I mentioned that have been very supportive, been friends and family that I love and care about, and my husband first and foremost. I'm blessed to have all that. Many people do not have that what I have, so that's not even it. It's other people that don't have as much integrity as me, compassion or empathy, understanding, or make the attempt. Make the attempt to see, what really is, and taking that extra time, efforts and things to make someone feel, give them more answers, more clarity, or more resources, or at least to understand what they're going through. Integrity that you're going to keep your word. That's for other people in my life. Yeah, other people, keeping your word is a big form of integrity. and big form of accountability, considers others' feelings and experiences. Um, and let's just put it this way, if you don't have the intention of doing something fully, then don't say you will. Yeah, you can kind of see the Lilith energy coming through with me. But again, in all honesty, sometimes it's time to bring out the voice and not just be a doormat anymore. So I'm processing, so this is part of my processing. Again, I may or may not take this down. You may or may not like this, but it's all part of me and my human life experience as a woman, but also as a left-hand practitioner, a spiritual being, and someone that does her best to move through in a realistic way and not sugarcoat things and sit there and going to be, everything's going to be okay. Because that's not reality. There's too many people that bypass things. There's too many people that avoid things. I avoid things. Yeah. But doing my best to move through that and forward that. And process and heal and rebuild. So, yeah. So, other than that, I have, if you check out, last month was fun because I did have, in August that is, for my husband's my 17th anniversary, when he went to Salem for a few days, despite very difficult issues right around that with family that are still ongoing, but thus we had such a great time. We were blessed to have that. That is something I enjoy, and I'm glad I got to do that, as did my husband, and we had the fun and the resources to do it while we can. Do things while you can. Don't overthink them. Kind of do a little bit more of the spur of the moment things, because things will happen regardless. Like I said in my video, the only thing about life is that it's going to constantly change, that it's uncertain. That's the only certainty in life, is that there is uncertainty and change, regardless if we want to face it or not. So, yeah. And basically, I'm going to take another sip of my tea here. And, yeah, so I had that. So that was a blessing last month. We had a convention here in Central New York at Vernon Downs Casino last month, where we vended at, and my husband was a moderator on panels, a horror, sci-fi horror fest. Amazing and fun. I got some card readings in. We sold some movies. We got to connect with other friends that we see at conventions, celebrities, and it was a good time. So those memories and those experiences stick with you. Hold them in when you have struggles and hard times. Those things that make you smile, joy, whether it was recent past, far past, or what you're looking forward to. That's my advice. So we had that last month. Beginning of this month in September, we went in Syracuse, New York, at the Marriott there in downtown. We went to, Scaricon, which is another horror convention, of course. First time it came back in 5 years. My husband and I had one of our crazy adventures and things, coming out of the wrong way in a parking garage and going almost 3/4 mile, give or take, half a mile, 3/4 mile out of our way before we realized there was a mistake. And yeah, so that was a joy. After that convention was great. That was a fun convention if you're in the horror movies. My husband met Kane Hodder before. I finally got to meet Kane Hodder. He's been in many things like the horror movie Hatchet, that series, that franchise. He's been in things, he played in some of the Friday the 13th as Jason Voorhees himself. He's played in numerous films. Those are just common examples. We met 3 of the cast members. The 4th could not come, from the 80s movie Fright Night. That is a great 80s vampire movie, and an iconic 80s horror movie at that, and one of my favorite vampire movies. If you know Fright Night, you know. And if you're a horror fan, and you're into 80s and all that stuff. And basically, so we got to meet, I always forget his name, but he was the one friend that was the main character's friend with that. So we got to meet him. we got to meet the main character. I'll forget the actor's name. Apologize again. Yeah, head's a little bit up in the clouds. And we met Amanda Bierce, who was the main female character in that, the main character's girlfriend, who was bitten by the vampire and became a vampire, but at the end, after the main vampire was killed, she became back her own self, like many traditional vampire things do. I'm a huge horror fan, of course, so that's why I'm mentioning these things. As you can tell, going to conventions and such. And Amanda Bierce was Mercy in Married with the Children. So she was Mercy Darcy after she got remarried the second time, which was funny and was one of the ongoing jokes. She was fun to meet. She was friendly, fun, talkative. That's what I love about going to conventions. Now, I am more of a quiet person in real life and silent. I'm very much an introvert. My husband, on the other hand, is an extrovert. So, nice balance between the two of us. Nice polarities. But yes, at points I'm getting a lot better than being less shy and introverted. So you improve and you go, but who you are is who you are. So yeah. So basically we had that this month, and I've had a lot of great support this month, and I guess the dogs are rambling there. Yeah, what else is new with that? So yeah. So I decided I should have done this while I was talking, but it's just rambling and stuff. I've had many ups and downs of feelings, especially prior to this and up to this, of course, and will continue to as I move through with grace, compassion, and self-love, but empowerment. Yeah. So I was just going to show some cards of the ways I've been feeling from some decks. Why not? So, I did get this deck. I'm going to probably show more from it. But this is from the Oraculum Leviathan deck. It's an indie deck, a very, very, very pricey deck. It's a very left-hand path deck by S&S Mason, who's from the Temple of the Ascending Flame. So yeah, this is not a walkthrough of that. It's just, these are cards I decided to pick and show. If you're still here, then why not? Some of these cards I'm going to show from different decks have nudity. They're just the way I felt, so I figured I'd now should do a little show and tell. Why not? So from the Oraculum Leviathan, like I said, which is a left-hand path styling deck, and facing, let me see here, get this pile together. So I've had ups and downs with the feelings and the experiences, and it's been a while since I did this, so why not? These are things I currently feel like, and have felt like leading up to the eye experiences, but also the joys I have and what we're all facing and seeing and will continue to face in this ever-challenging life experience. So, again, there's nudity in some of these decks. Some of these are left-hand path decks, so you don't like that stuff, you can turn off now. Turn back, as I say, in the horror movie, turn back now. But heed the warnings. So we got 10 of Swords. If you know your tarot, you know your tarot. If you don't, just enjoy the imagery. But there's a lot of tarot on my channel, so I suppose that would be one of the reasons some of you are watching. Death. The Reaper. Yes, death, change, transformation, and endings. That's definitely an evident. I work a lot with death energies, so therefore that's an explanation too. The Magician, though. Using your tools, knowing taking the will and the steps, which I am proud of myself for facing through those and continuing to face through and acknowledge my feelings, my humanity, and my experiences, but making that and facing through that appointment and probably showing my humility and vulnerability as I've had to cry and beg for certain things to make progress and see how this is all going to turn out, or at least the next foreseeable steps, hopefully, in my favor. But the Magician is stepping up to the plate, using your tools, your resources, and knowing your true will. The the Hermit. Just like the flame from that magician, the Hermit now uses it to guide through with certainty and knowing he has the answers with those tools to continue to move forward with his knowledge, his wisdom. I have gained wisdom through this experience and used that wisdom of things I've already grown and healed to get me through that and have compassion and composure, and will arm myself with the seeking and the knowledge and the tools from the Hermit and the Magician. Four of Pentacles. I like this deck, of course. It's very much based on the clip-off, which I have not done an official clip-off journey. I've done, I believe, through my guides and my past, certain aspects of the clip-off may be guided through on maybe not a discipline level, but still, I know. You know certain things in your life. So that Four of Pentacles, I feel like the Seven of Wands, but I like this approach to the Seven of Wands. I bought the extra guidebook, study book for this deck too. I'm so glad I did. Of course, Four of Wands. So there is things like being proud of and accomplishments that I did make those appointments for myself, and I did get answers to what happened to me last year and certain things I couldn't explain. And that I did have that in the celebration of those that love and support me, and those milestones like that, and the convention, Eight of Cups, reflection. What am I moving away from? What's no longer serving me? Well, officially figuring out with the driving situation and stuff, but how to move forward. And finding a different, deeper connection with my spiritual system and myself. As we all should be doing. That's not selfish. King of Cups. In certain things, yes, I've been a little bit bipolar acting, this past week especially, or 2 weeks I would have to say. But I've had a rough 2 years on that. But I've learned a lot more about the King of Cups energy and having compassion, strength, and emotional maturity and composure despite perceptions and circumstances. So I could have actually really approached the doctor. I kind of want to, but I have not. That's also learning to know your emotions. The Sun, happy times like the conventions, happy times for the love and support I have, the joys of Salem, the bright things of life, and the positive aspects of abundance. Six of Cups, the past. Well, the joys of the past, the joys that I do have as the memories, as I mentioned, and I will make the best of my eyesight and be as optimistic as I can. But things from childhood too. Since the Cups is related to childhood, but I also sometimes lineage and relationship, hereditary. Maybe I gotta find out maybe if there's any other more things that I can that will help me in the future with my family circumstances or that. And the Six of Cups also means emotions, more waters. Again, these are just ones I chose that felt like in the images. Ten of Pentacles, community and family and resources, those grounded efforts and abundance, which I know I have. Seven of Cups, reality versus illusion. That's a big thing I got to work on and move through. Judgment, I just pulled this yesterday. The Fool, uncertainty, but moving forward and through with on the path of life. And the Moon. I pulled her this today. So, let's see. In next set, I'm going to show some of the things I felt with for imagery, because I can. Nine of Air. Nine of Swords. This is the invisible light, by the way. That definitely feels like a Nine of Swords. and one of my favorite depictions ever of the Nine of Swords or Nine of Air. Kind of like that song, I think it's I Lie on Your Grave, or I Stand at Your Grave. Ton. I like Charlotte Martin's version of it, but probably get the title on. Eight of Earth. So patience, hard work, effort, craftsmanship in what am I crafting. Different depiction of Ten of Swords, Ten of Air, the invisible light. Three of Air, I do feel like and really feel like the Three of Swords, and kind of like my heart space has been ripped open. I was hoping to get more clarity and help, but again, expectations. Five of Fire, so Five of Wands, challenges, adversity, and stepping up to the plate. I've done all those things, and I will continue to do so, but also, what is up towards me? I just like this picture of the world. So certain things have come full circle, and more answers they come out of it now that I'm having more of a perspective versus just going by and being ruled by my perceptions. The Sun. Some relief and some light shining down and feeling more like myself as of yesterday and today. A couple rough days before that. Strengths, despite all the wounds and impairments I have, I still have inner and outer strength. As we all should. Chariot. Interesting Chariot, but taking that and making progress and progression and will and motivation, taking those motivated steps. Of course, another version of the Death card. I like this Five of Earth. Now, Five of Earth, Five of Pentacles, but the eyesight thing, that's probably why I chose that image. Here is my old friend, and this one does have nudity, but this is one of my most interesting favorite towers. Tower cards. Isn't that quite an interesting take? This deck does have interesting things. I like the images. I'm trying to build a relationship with her at points, but we haven't quite built that relationship. But I love the images and appreciate that. And the perspective it has. My favorite Emperor card ever. I just like it laid back and stuff. He reminds me of guys I knew in my early 20s. Some fond memories, we'll put it that way. Some fun, interesting, and things that of my crazy youth. the makings and musings of youth and crazy experiences. And Nine of Fires or Nine of Wands. Courage, strength to move ahead despite struggles and the will to do so. And I'm going to show, just because this is getting awfully long, we'll set those ones aside, even if it is how I am. Okay. My first deck ever. These are cards from my original Soul deck, which I've had since I've been 18. And still my favorite home deck, and still learning and building and learning new things from this deck. With each and every pull, each and every connection, each and every flip through. She's been to so many places with me, so many life experiences, reading, and there's such magic within this deck. Lady Freda Harris and Aleister Crowley hit a home run. So some of these are a bit tattered, but these also correspond again to the feelings. I do feel like a magician in many ways, and I will continue to remember that I am, and that I be on the left-hand path to philosophy and as a magician, the spirituality, the universal hexagram, and that I can create my own future, or at least do my best to do so with what I'm able to do and accept to take. Here's my frenemy, the Tower. First tower I ever became acquainted with and still sends me mixed feelings, and the tower and me have an interesting frenemy relationship. I feel like the tower. The past couple of years of my life have been a tower. The building of things and beliefs and the deconstruction, the devastation, the unexpected changes and things of expectations, beliefs, old versions of myself don't serve me any longer, and how I am rebuilding a stronger, better foundation for myself and that which truly matters in my life. This is one of my favorite temperance cards ever. Plus, temperance is great about patience and transformation, as you can see the alchemical transformation here. But this is the alchemical transformation of myself, the unity, the different sides and polarities of light and dark, which I embrace both. That is how life is. And the pressure cooker of how change can affect us and shape us. And experiences. Their voice is going to give up. And magician. I love that magician. Magus. Beautiful. One of my favorite depictions of Magus. Hope we're not going to blow away. Cards. You can see here, I put some of these on my altar in the past. So you can kind of see this death card. My favorite death card ever. I have such a relationship with death now. Except for as much as I'm into change, I have a hard time changing and accepting it. But I used to not like the death card, and then over the years I built a great relationship and understanding, especially with, I work a lot very closely with my patroness Hecate and one of my patrons, Hades. So, yes. But I really love this so much, this version in this house. It's always one of my favorites. As is this moon. I love this moon. Love this Two of Swords. X marks the spot. True past, true choices, the uncertainty of that choices that we have through logic and skill. I love that. Lovers, the crossroads, the unity of self, relationship, and polarities, and choices one must make. This one's really, she's a bit peeling and tattered, but this is the High Priestess, which is one of my birth cards. Being silent, being known, being observing, reflective, and following your guidance system, even despite the things that are very challenging. That Five of Pentacles, of course. Five of Wands. If I want to, it comes up, gives me some feelings. The Hierophant. The Sun, because there's many things to still be happy for and grateful for and to look forward to. The Tree and its foundations and roots through craftsmanship and effort. The Hermit, like the hermit connected to the underworld, that is, in this deck. Moving through restrictions and old beliefs and old versions of oneself and experience. The Aeon, which is judgment in most decks. This is how I've always identified as the Queen of Swords. My favorite Queen of Swords always is here in the Toast deck. And, of course, Four of Swords. But needing a respite, my soul needs a respite, my life needs a respite from the Tower energies and the death energies and change. But it's also time to rebuild and reframe and refocus. If you made it this far, thanks for watching and bearing with me and my rambles. And maybe me sharing my story and my voice and the ups and downs of the recent past couple months with you and my truth maybe helps you to share yours or to cope with it on that. And again, stay strange.